All right, let's show a little love.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, so I wanted to make a video where I just briefly talk about Trey Jones and Devin Vassell because I don't feel like I give them enough love whatsoever. So we're definitely going to talk about that. Before we do, just letting you guys know once again, okay, I have to look. No one's going to advertise for me, okay? I got to advertise myself. All right, I got to pump myself up a little bit. I am going to be opening up an online store pretty soon. Still working with the designers, artists, and everything as far as like what I want, and we're just critiquing it and everything. And I'm also getting some equipment because I personally want to do it myself and send it out to you guys. So just letting you know, be on the lookout for that. I'm gonna keep announcing it once I get more info and I figure everything out. But just letting you guys know, okay? So please support your boy. But honestly, you're gonna want it, okay? It's not gonna be anything where it's like, oh, here's just like a logo of the Spurs. Like, no, it's gonna be dope. All right, anyways, let's dive straight into this. Okay, so as you guys know, I don't talk about Trey Jones a lot, and after seeing this, I was like, you know what, let's just make a video on Trey Jones. I'm not going to talk about this in particular because, I mean, yes, him and his brother play exceptionally well. I think that was a really clutch game. This is a pro-am game, and at the end, they really came alive, and I believe they won the game. So I'm not going to talk about it. It's not that interesting, but I do want to just talk about Trey Jones overall and Devin Vassell. So first and foremost, I want to say this. While I don't believe, because people think that I hate Trey Jones or I dislike Devin Vassell when I don't put them like on this pedigree, I don't necessarily think they'll be stars or superstars or anything like that. From what I've seen thus far, that's just not the impression that I get. But I will say this, Trey Jones and Devin Vassell, I will say this with all the confidence in the world, they're the most efficient and reliable players the Spurs have right now. The most efficient and reliable. Now, the reason why I say that is because when I look at Trey Jones, I know exactly what I'm going to get every single game. Unfortunately, last season with Lonnie Walker, even DJ sometimes, but DJ was pretty doggone consistent. But Lonnie Walker in particular, I didn't know what I was going to get. Like one game you might get Lonnie Walker that's showing off all his talent and making incredible shots to the point where you're sitting back and you're like, he could potentially be a star. Or you're going to get a Lonnie Walker where he doesn't show up or he's not as aggressive. And it was very frustrating. But with Trey Jones, I never got that impression. I never felt that way with him whatsoever throughout the entire season. Every single game, you knew he was going to make some good passes. You knew that he was going to play within himself. He's not going to try to do too much. And you know that he could very well, if given the opportunity, average at least 13, 12 points. And to add on to that, if you go back, and I know that this isn't like 100% reliable, but if you look at his 36, his per 36, he averages about 13 points. That's about what he would be averaging. But you know what you're going to get from him. Play good defense. And every single game is going to be the same thing with Trey Jones. And I would even add that even throughout this past season, even though we didn't necessarily, because his minutes were a little here and there, 13, 16, 18, 20, like it was here, and you never knew what you were going to get. But when he really got his opportunities, he's shown some things. I don't really recall any games where I just sat back and was like, wow, Trey Jones is really stinking up the place. Not really. He always played within himself. He always played smart. He has very high IQ. Yeah, it was nothing negative. He can play off ball and on ball. That's another thing that's really good about him. Really good at making the right cuts. And the only thing that he really has to work on is 3-point shooting. But even when it comes to that just adds on to his self-awareness, where a lot of times those 3-point shots, while he's not necessarily afraid of taking them, he knows that there's always a better shot because he knows that he needs to work on that. But yeah, so I never felt as if Trey Jones had wide open threes that he just kept passing up. It always seemed as if it was just the right play, the right call in that scenario. And every now and then he could get something like this 9 for 13, 69%. Just a very solid player. And it's the same thing with Devin Vassell, exact same thing. So a lot of people might disagree with this when I say I don't believe he'll be like a superstar. But when I say that he's going to be very solid, or he's going to continue to be solid, I'm just basing it off of what I've seen thus far. It's been many instances where I sat back and I watched him, and he will put up 20 points, and I'm like, I don't recall you putting up that many points. And the reason being is because he just always played good basketball. He's getting at the line, or he's getting it just based on just really smart plays, and it just crosses you. You're just like, wow, I did not know that you scored this many points. It's the same thing with Trey Jones as well. So I think that these two guys, while I don't necessarily see them as having as much potential as maybe Blake Wesley or Josh Primo or anything like that, I do sit back and I see them as having like or being very essential to what the San Antonio Spurs are trying to do going forward. So I don't know. Those are just my thoughts on Devin Vassell and Trey Jones. I feel like I said, I feel like I haven't really given them a lot of love, and the reason being is because I'm more so fixated on who's going to be the next star. And with me, you guys know I love me some Josh Primo, and everything that I've seen from him thus far gives me that impression that he could very well become a star. But that doesn't mean the other pieces aren't just as important, right? They're very important. So while Devin Vassell and Trey Jones, in my opinion, might not have the highest ceiling as some of the other guys, they're definitely very important pieces going forward. They're very solid, and they're very dependable. And I think that they're one of the most reliable players we have on the Spurs right now. So you guys let me know what you think. I'll get with you guys later. If you want to support the channel, only $2 a month, Patreon and YouTube links below. Until next time, man, deuces.